This meeting is being broadcast live via Westford Cable Access TV and recorded for playback online. Attendees are reminded that by attending this meeting, you consent to having your likeness and audio used in the
rebroadcast.
Used in the rebroadcast. Thank you, Marilyn. I see what I assume are a lot of members of the audience who are residents as opposed to applicants, and so I welcome you. We'd like to have people come and join us. The first agenda item is open forum. Do any members of the commission have something for open forum? Matt?
Yes, I have a couple. First, the Department of Public Works, their project over the culvert project at Old Lowell Road over Pond Brook is starting to be commenced in the upcoming weeks. They're going to start getting messaging out about detours and getting signage up as well. Additionally, Jim, for the railroad, you observed the spraying.
Yeah, on June 4th, I rode with CSX Railways. That's the company that bought Pan Am Railways about a year ago. Got on board at a crossing in Groton over past Forge Pond and went all the way to Moore Road and got off at that crossing there. Keith Morris is the consultant that the railroad hired, the same guy that Pan Am had been hiring for years past, so he's the same person doing the same work. And we had no problems at all. All the spraying was away from wetlands and away from streams.
Great. I think that's all I have for.
Okay. Do any members of the audience have something for open forum?
Just gonna say it. Do I have to talk into that?
Either that or the
That
other
records
one.
it for Westford Cat, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all know me. My name is June McMorrow, and I'm here just to follow up on the emails and photographs that I sent you about the partying and drinking and grilling that's going on up at Stony Brook Conservation Land, and I was wondering what the plan was. Is there any plan to prevent this from happening every nice summer weekend?
So this is this does dovetail into the discussion and action item, which if we want to kind of take that now, again, our
Why not?
Why not?
yeah,
Let's do
just
it.
kind of discuss it.
Instead of having to wait till the end of the night.
Your emails were included in the Conservation Commission's meeting packet, and did receive an email back from Chief Chambers. I think I included that in the packet, but also in terms of kind of the next steps for if the commission wanted to, in the interim while the rec department kind of attendants get hired and staffed, if the commission would want to hire a police detail, or put in a request for a police detail for 5 hours, say 12 to 5, 1 to 6, for, this upcoming weekend does look sunny and could likely draw a crowd. Just it does cost money, but again, we were planning on expending some of the EBC revolving account for this summer attendance. So if, the commission does, I think it may be a good idea to put in the requests. Again, we know the weather's looking favorable for, people to be up there, put in the request for a police detail, and then, there is a marked officer, and an advantage of that is in the event, a response, they do need to respond to something there. As in the police reports, they talk about, there's always two officers, so in the event a response, they need to respond to something, we've already paid for an officer to be there, and potentially could be, not have to kind of coordinate two patrolmen who are on regular duty to
service the call.
Now, the dates that we're planning to have attendance are What are the what's that
it
window?
was through Memorial Day through Labor Day. But, just some of the hiring,
So we're working with the rec, as they hire attendants for the other town beaches. We are in that process as well to have attendants hired to work the day beach. So as soon as those people are in place, we will have people in place at the day beach as well. I would like to, there was somebody a member of the public who saw trash, picked it up and took it home. I would like to thank that person very much. I don't want to name that person, but I think they set a very good example for, if you see something, it really helps the town if residents will take it upon themselves to pick up stuff. And we don't want it to happen, but we appreciate when people do it.
Well, I know him.
Yeah,
And he stopped me.
yeah.
And he was quite upset about it.
Yep.
He had a standard-sized trash bag full of trash.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know I've sent you quite a few pictures. And I think I had also, he actually posted something on Westford Friends, and I screenshotted that and sent you that, just so you could see that there are people on the Facebook pages talking about it. Unfortunately, they don't call the police and they don't reach out to you. They just
Yes.
complain about it on Facebook. So just to clarify, so you were just talking about a police detail, but I know you all know that I've come here several times during the course of the nice weather about this, and I thought the rec department approach was the approach that you were going to follow, but you were just talking about a police detail.
right, and they're still advertising. If you go downstairs and look on the bulletin board, they're still advertising for those. So
For the rec department?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in the meantime, while that's
In the interim,
In the
yeah,
interim.
which could be, some time.
and in order, and there may be, I think, if there is police presence, for repeated nice days on the weekends, that may
Deter.
deter future, so that's my.
And we appreciate you, we're aware of the call that you logged when you were there. We've seen the police report follow-up. There were other people at different times on different days that also called in, so we appreciate everybody who makes the effort to go to call the non-emergency line and report what they see. And it's not going to be an easy problem to fix.
I think last year we had talked about one thing which might help is having the non-emergency number posted, which is 978-399-2345. We talked about that last year. It never got posted. One young lady that I spoke to told me she thought she was supposed to email the Westford Land Conservation Trust. I said, no, this is what you should do.
It's not on the...
It's not on the signs. No, it's not.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, because that was one of the things...
It's not posted anywhere.
Maybe it's
One
a
of
way
the-
to do that.
Yeah, one of the things the police had said
Yeah.
is that we need to post the regulation numbers, because then if they want to issue a citation, the regulation numbers let them know. So we should follow up, because there should be...
For the police, posting for the...
No, is the sign includes the Westford regulation numbers?
I think it
That they
might.
would use in a citation to
I think
issue
it
a
might.
fine?
Thought so.
I think it does. It says it right here. A fine of not more than $100 per day. I sent you this picture, so I know it's in your packet. $100 per day shall be imposed for any violation of
Okay.
regulation according to, and it's Mass General Law, Chapter 21D, by the police, town enforcement officer, or the commission, which I think is you.
So we
It
have to get
commission
that
staff.
phone number there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually says it on the sign.
yeah, it's a little fuzzy.
it's kind of, yes, okay.
Well, I can read it. It's legible.
Yeah, if they're looking for
there's not
something
much more
to
you can
use
do.
for a citation to issue a
Yeah.
fine, then there it
It says
is.
it right on it.
We just need
There's
to
a real
get,
hesitancy, I think, for the police to take serious enforcement action. I was one of the calls about an hour before June made her call, and I'd gone down the beach to see how it was, because it was a beautiful, sunny, warm day, and there were about 45 people on the day beach, which is a big crowd. They had 3 open fires going, I didn't see any alcohol, I didn't see beer bottles, booze bottles, anything like that, just 3 open fires. So I left the area, called the Westford Police. They sent two cruisers down with 4 officers in them, opened up the gate. When they opened up the gate, there's a group that hangs out in the parking lot. I think they make a phone call into the guys that are at the beach to put away whatever they've got that they're not supposed to have. Police went down there, told them to put out the fires, that's against the rules, you know, they're not supposed to do it, and they said, oh yeah, I will do that. The police leave, and apparently you called a half hour later.
It was about an hour or so later.
Okay, the fires were going again, and now the booze was out too.
Yeah.
So the police went back, and they found the same people that they told put out the fires, they're still burning,
Did they
3 of them,
issue,
and the booze was out too.
did they issue a ticket or
No,
anything?
they didn't. Nope.
When I was leaving.
They have the authority to do that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it says,
just read the police.
it's Mass General Law, it says it on the sign. It's right on the sign. When I was leaving, I ran into, actually 2 cruisers with 2 officers, and I did wave them down, and I said, I called you, and this is why I called you. And they said, well, you're sure that they're not leaving? Because we told them they had to leave. I said, well, there's been a boat that's taken up residence on the beach recently. They're out in the boat. There's a group of women on the dock with a bottle of tequila. There's 2 grills going. People are swimming. And I actually ran into a woman that was carrying a lot of potato chips and things like that. I don't think there was any intention for them to leave. And the policeman said, well, I had asked them to extinguish their grill. Now, if the sign says there's no grilling and there's 3 grills up there, I don't think they should be asked to extinguish the grill. I think they should be asked to leave or given a ticket. That doesn't make any sense to me.
We've been having these problems now for years and years, every summer, and I don't think there's been one citation issued. And they've been down there where they've seen it happen, they've been down there when they missed it. But this past weekend, there were at least 2 opportunities where they had open fires and alcoholic beverages on the beach.
Well, last weekend, Saturday was cool and Sunday poured.
June 1st, 2nd.
It was the previous
Yeah,
weekend.
Yeah.
So the town bought this property for $13 million about 25 years ago?
Yep.
Something like that, right? I can't exactly remember.
I don't remember
But, and I think if I get out the town budget, the annual budget, we pay for a caretaker and we pay,
No,
don't we pay to maintain the property?
as I understand it,
Yeah, the caretaker he's there to, you know, check in renters, check, you know, make sure, check out. I have asked him to, you know, make sure that when he is there on the weekends to stop by and, you know, be a presence on the
Well, who
not
pays,
George
who pays
Fletcher.
for him, though? The town does.
town and the revolving account.
so
Our
the
account.
revolving account is the money that comes out of the camp programs, correct?
Yes, that we receive from the rentals of the property.
Yeah,
But my point is this, all of this money has come from the town, and people want to be able to go up there and enjoy it, and they can't. I was very intimidated the day I went up there, but I did walk right through them. And there were 35 or 40 people up there having a wild time, and the tequila was flowing. And I certainly wasn't going to stay there. They had very loud music playing. I ran into a young woman this morning, and she had her dog on a leash, and I had my neighbor's dog. And I asked her if her dog had been swimming, and she said yes. And we started talking about the weekends. And she said she won't come up there anymore on the weekends because a couple of weeks ago there was a very large crowd smoking weed up there. And she didn't feel safe, and I wouldn't feel safe either. I noticed today that on the day beach, 3 of the benches have large burn marks, which I imagine are from people putting grills on the benches. I mean, the town is going to eventually have to replace those. I mean, my point is just that somebody that wants to go up there for a walk or fishing with their kids, or the average Joe cannot do it because these people take over the beach every weekend and they trash the place. So I come before you every year, and I'm hoping that this will be the year that something changes. So, thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
you, no?
We had talked about charging non-residents a fee once. Have we done anything
So
with that?
when we
you
have
have
the
someone
attendance
there.
in place.
Yeah, that was the intent, was to, have non-residents, similar to Forge Beach, Edwards Beach.
Right.
Have non-residents, collect a $5, per person fee.
So can you tell me again about the police presence that we're paying for? They'll be what time to what time?
I mean, it can be from 12 to, again, I thought 5 hours was,
I think that's fine. 12 to 5, I think that's
12
great.
to 5, 1 to
Okay.
6, something like that.
If it's going to rain,
Get some kind of
Right,
feedback
if they're
from
gonna
them
rain,
and find out if
call it
they
off.
think
If it's
it's
gonna rain,
enough
we
or
don't need
whatever
it.
else they need. I think we need to
Right, I
invest
mean,
money
but
in
we
this.
should, the forecasting's good enough to understand, again, I wasn't anticipating there being many
But I think the
calls.
word will get out that there's police presence.
well, I think that's what needs to happen.
You know,
is
so that-
they need to get told a couple of times that you cannot bring your tequila, your coolers, and your grill here, and then they won't
They
come
need to
back.
be sent away.
They need to be sent away, and then they won't come back anymore.
Well, they need to be fined, right? That's within our
Well-
purview.
If that's, I mean, again, we can certainly communicate that to the police department, when they respond, and if they, are observing, violations,
Could we have a meeting
When I made my
before?
call into the police dispatch, I specifically said, please enforce this strictly, please impose the
Right, I mean,
fine.
right, but you're calling as a,
I know, as
so,
a person calling up
if
on the phone.
it gets communicated through, to the chief, and then it comes back down, because that's different than, a resident calling, at least in my opinion, so, yes, I will have, I'll prepare an email for, to the chief tomorrow and send it out,
Yeah, and if they've got everything on that, then he'll know what the expectations
And
are.
on June 1st, I
Yes.
was there in the afternoon, and I observed a child coming in on an ATV. And I left before calling the non-emergency line, but I identified myself both as a resident and as the chair of the commission, basically saying, this is what I saw. And the officer went out and observed that they were not using it on the beach, but that the ATV was still there. So I think, we need to, I think if you can send a letter and that basically says, we are having people making calls. We don't want, we're limited as to what we want residents to do, and I think we need to ask what's the next steps that the police can take.
Well, Chief Chambers said in his email that he had given follow-up instructions to his officers regarding what their course of action should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they should be enforcing what the law says. They should be enforcing the law.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're carrying grills in there and they've got alcohol in there, they should be put off the property. They
agree.
shouldn't be given a warning. They should be put off the
Yeah,
property.
I mean, if that's the commission, if,
I agree,
enforce
because
fines
that
and
will
ask to
cut-
leave,
that will
if that's
cut
the
it.
commission, that's, we
People
can.
do stupid things when they drink.
No, but I think if they know that we don't, that we're going to follow through and we're not going to,
And take,
Haggle.
document names, so then, if it's, becomes a repeat, we can we can request, we
Can
can
you-
go
at some
through,
point-
trespass orders and things to that effect.
That's what I think you need to do. So, all right, I've taken enough of your time.
I just want to ask a question. At some point, can we know the cost of this for us?
Yeah,
And what we
so
can
if-
afford, and what, so we can see how we're spreading it out and what we want to do?
Chief
We
Chambers
might want to do more than that.
responded in a separate email regarding a police detail, and it was approximately $400,
Every
that
week?
bulk.
400 a day, a
For a
weekend?
detail,
For 5 hours.
for a
Wow.
5-hour detail.
That's pretty bad.
So, but if, behaviors can, be changed over multiple weekends, then isn't it money well spent?
And if we have it, you have to tell us that, you have to tell
Especially-
us what we have. and
Especially
so
if
we
the
can
beach
figure out what we can
attendants are
afford.
not having to deal with it.
Yeah, we'll make an earnest effort.
No?
And the other thing is, if they have an open container, that's a arrestable offense, right?
Oh, it is?
An open alcohol container in your car,
Well, yeah,
Well,
but
they're
it,
not really near the car. They're up on the beach, though.
but then they're gonna get back to the car, so they can't have that in the beach.
It's
They're
in
gonna
public, it's not a licensed site.
It's public.
well,
They're just not doing
that's
it.
where,
Again, I would
It's up
defer
to-
to the
yeah.
police department to enforce that as,
Okay. Okay, let's get something in place.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we can look at what we've done and see if it has some effect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, June, for bringing.
Do you want to say something about this or something else?
Yes, is that okay?
Yeah, sure, just get
Greetings.
recognized.
So do you mind just clarifying real quick
Can
what
you
this
just say who
attend?
you are
Oh,
for the
Nancy
audience?
Rosinski, North Hill. What the attendant is that's going to be there. I'm curious
So
what that is.
We're hiring, well, Matt, you can,
The intent is to hire, similar to Forge Pond, college-age students to, be present at, more so at the turnoff for the main access road, the main camp access road, to either A, collect, a nominal fee for non-residents to, visit the property, but also to, educate people about, tell them before they get to the beach, okay, I see you have a cooler, tell them no alcohol is allowed, no, you can have a cooler filled with, sodas and, juice, but you can't have, same thing with, if you see somebody, wheeling in a grill, okay, there are no grills allowed, please go put that back, kind of trying to curtail from before they get to the actual, property and
and the plan is to have two attendants.
two attendants,
So that it's not just one person having, so that we have two people there, rather than just a single person having to pass the message.
Okay, thank you.
Are the police allowed to look in the cooler or ask them? Are they?
I can't answer that.
I wonder what that, I wonder what that, okay, I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't know. All right. All right.
Thank you.
I just wanted to follow up with you, and I thank you very much for your time.
okay, thank you, June.
Okay.
Any more open forum? Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. It's the Stony Brook Conservation Area Access Road from Depot Street to Camp Neshoba discussion. And
I've had difficulty coordinating to set up the discussion with the camp operators. I'm looking to do so in the next week, but the intent was to table this discussion to the June 26th meeting, as there's not much to report. And Nancy, I spoke with Andrea and sorry. Nice to see y'all anyway. Sorry. I was like, oh, we didn't pass the message along to all the people.
okay, moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item. It's a public hearing for Fields, 26 Green Needles Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 7:10 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Emily and Matt Field for the removal of 18 trees within 100 feet of Forge Pond at 26 Green Needles Road.
Sorry, I just pointed this laser at you.
Oh.
I didn't know it was a laser. Hello, I'm Emily. Really, the reason why I'm here is because we have recently purchased this home back in August of last year, and we've done a lot of work cleaning it up and taking down. It was covered in trees that were falling and leaning towards the garage, and now we're working towards ones that are near the house. The house is in Littleton, but my backyard is Westford, and there's quite a few trees that we had an arborist look at that are not only leaning over the house, but that have pretty severe damage to them. I'm just hoping to remove them.
Has your arborist provided a written report?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't do it until later this afternoon. I sent
Okay.
it, but I'm afraid.
Yeah, I wasn't, it was after, by the time I got to it, it was after 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did stop out and this morning met with the applicant. In terms of kind of trees, to A, get a feel for the trees, B, but also see the site. Some of the questions, kind of raised and certainly, typical of a project of the scope, in terms of replanting of tree, kind of discussed replanting of trees, kind of coming in with a, some form, basic plan of numbers, species, native species, and kind of where they're going to be. And so, certainly.
Do we have any pictures other than this? Like photos? I mean,
Anything with
I'm
distances?
looking at this and I have no idea, no context.
I mean, so the edge of the retaining wall and the edge of the shoreline is here, is to the top of the plan. So I mean, some of the trees are right on the interior of the retaining wall.
Usually trees in those locations lean towards the lake, looking.
Some are, some are.
We would leave them.
Well, the lake is,
we would
but the
leave.
Yeah, which we
lake
would
is
leave,
north.
so-
So if they're leaning towards the sun.
No, but they're leaning over the.
They're leaning over the lake?
So,
That's
I
where
mean,
the sun-
so
that's where they
if
get the
that's,
sun.
so.
Okay, well, that's true, yes.
If, that's information the commission would want,
On a plan.
right, but.
Yeah.
Or do a site
additional
visit and we'll take a look at them.
Yeah, because some of it is also,
Time to see it.
what is the distance of the trees to the structure? Does the edge of the pond continue to the edge of the paper, or does it,
It's
looking at
pretty
the
low,
light-
it's pretty flat.
It's flat, okay.
That's,
So it,
Need something more
which,
formal
yeah,
than
because
this.
which portion of the pond front are we talking?
it's mostly this section right here in front of the dwelling.
So the left-hand side of the site is not going to be cleared?
No.
I don't own that. That was actually split when I bought my home, so I own essentially, I think.
Okay, so there's
I
a,
think,
Yeah.
there's a line there?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is why plans help us a lot,
Yeah.
because we look and it's.
I'm new. I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure
it's
it out.
okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay,
that's
we
fine.
understand.
I get
If
it.
it's not enough, we'll tell you what we need.
Yeah, oh, I
Yeah.
bet you will.
That's not a negative, it's just
Okay.
to complete
Yeah.
the picture.
So,
Do you have an idea of distances?
They're close. Like some of them, like like this tree is dead. I personally wanted to keep it. They came and looked at it, told me I was crazy.
What's the distance from the water to your house?
Oh, about 50 feet, 60 feet. So, like, these ones are truly right on the water.
Right.
This tree I want to keep. I fought for it. I would like to keep it. These are just all the trees that they identified as ones that I should consider taking down. So
You
I
have the
put them
final
all
say.
on the plan.
You have the final say.
what do people feel about doing a site visit?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as the weather's good.
Yeah, because I think, a lot of this is, is
It's visual.
visual, when we see a tree,
Yeah.
is, because there are no pictures of what the trees look like, it's harder for us to
Pictures
visualize.
too, sorry to interrupt you.
Okay,
When I don't know how to see the inside of these trees, right? But the trees that we did have cut down up in this area of the property, I do have a few photos of those when they were getting cut down, because when they were cut, just like insides of the tree fell out everywhere.
okay.
And that's what, I mean, maybe you guys are better at this than I would be, but that's what a lot of these ones he suggested would be like, that you can see almost right through them.
What kind of trees are they? Pines, oaks?
Pines and oaks and one or two maples. Yep,
Predominantly pine.
pine, yeah.
So.
I was gonna
so we
say
wanna
oaks
set
and
up a
maples are
site
pretty
visit.
good.
Yeah.
It's mostly pine, but there are one or two oaks and maples.
Jim?
Is there a property line, like edge of the
Yep.
paper,
This
or what?
is the property
That
line.
property line goes right behind those trees.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we would be for trees that are coming down
Yeah.
in the buffer zone to the pond, we'd be looking for replacement trees.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but the thing is thinking about trees that will not grow as tall as these.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
survive, right? Like,
Well, yeah, but it just, that you can find native species that
Yeah.
will maybe top out at 30 feet.
Yeah.
And then you're not looking at a repeat of this problem down the road.
yes, ma'am, yep.
So yeah, so kind of a restoration plan is something we'll be looking at, and
Okay.
just kind of be thinking about that. We don't want another huge white pine that's going to be.
No, yeah, of course, right.
And we might cut
Any
some to
other-
like 10 feet, right? 10,
Well-
15 feet.
Yeah,
And I
I
think-
actually have quite a few that I do like. I wrote them down in a note. Like a bunch of different varieties of arborvitae. I also am privy to birch trees, so something similar of that survives, that are
Do you have deer in the area?
Sorry.
There are deer, but not really that far down.
Deer love arborvitaes.
Yeah. I've been told that about my front property. They said, don't put them there.
But yeah, I think it probably makes sense for us to see them, you know, see the trees, be able to
Pick a
make.
time.
Yep. So,
Okay. I'll try to aim for Monday, Tuesday next week, and coordinate, or find a time that works with you, and
I
then
don't care. I work
communicate
from
with
home, so
the. Okay.
you show up.
well, we'll let you know before we show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think being able to see the trees will
Yeah,
help a lot. Okay.
that was good. We can have a discussion.
Yep.
Great.
Is there anything else people want to bring up?
Looking at roughly early next week.
Early next week, yes.
Okay. Any comments or questions on this project from members of the audience? Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing until June 26th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So Matt will be in touch about the timing of the site visit, and then at the next hearing, you know, we'll be able to hopefully complete the discussion and take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to our 7:15 PM agenda item. It's a continuation of a public hearing for Wilma Realty Trust, 426 Littleton Road. Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Douglas DeShane from Finner and Nicholson, representing the applicant. With me seated, Daniel Carr, our engineer. You'll recall when we were here last, we seem to be moving forward, and as you know, we have been appearing before the Planning Board and Conservation sort of in parallel, so that as things change on one side or the other, we can update. And we thought we were pretty close to being wrapped up. However, you'll recall at the last meeting, the Commission had some questions about the wetland line over onto the Littleton side of the world. And we wanted to make sure, as we had expected, that those wetlands were actually curving away from the project, to be sure that our septic system was 100 feet from the wetlands in Littleton. And so Mr. Crossman went out and reflagged those, but as luck would have it, it was true that they kind of zigged before they zagged, and so it made a quick little turn right there into the, we had assumed that that thing curved farther quicker. But as you can see, it kind of came straight. So it turned out that, in fact, our septic system, a corner of it, was within 100 feet of that line. So we had to make a minor modification to move the septic system. How many feet total was it?
15 to 20 feet.
Yeah, 15 to 20 feet. We moved it more into the center of the site. But we had to do another deep hole test to make sure the Board of Health was okay with that. And in moving the system so that it's now 100 feet away from those wetlands, again, on Littleton's side of the world, we had, as you can imagine, we had to tweak our drainage because we moved this and we moved the, so we had to make minor revisions to the drainage system, which we then had to submit through the Planning Board for review by Mr. Starrett and Jeremy. And they have had that, and we did just hear back from them yesterday that they were all set with the minor changes, and that we're expecting we'll have a clean letter for the zoning board, Planning Board on Monday, so that they can move forward. But we did want to let you know that we had a minor change to address that question. And again, Mr. Starrett and Mr. Downs have are about to issue a letter saying the changes were fine, that we didn't impact anything. So, a little bump in the road, good catch on whoever, wanted to double check on that. What's that?
That was Jim.
So, we did what you asked him, and you were correct. Wasn't much of a curve, but wasn't quite enough of a curve. But you can see now that the wetland clearly walks away from the property line to a point where we're well outside the 100 feet.
Jim?
Maybe. There's still a 160-foot gap in your wetlands delineation, and I couldn't tell where any new flags would have been placed since the last update. Had wetland markings been added?
Yeah, I believe wetland flags 29 through 32 were added.
These ones right here.
All right, what happens between 32 and,
We have a
what's the other end,
63.
I think.
3, 2, 1? There's about 160 feet in there that I don't know if it goes up close to where your septic is, close to where the snow storage is, or if it stays wide in Littleton. I can't tell.
Between 32 and 64?
Between 3 and 32.
32?
There's a
Yeah,
gap,
this
there's a
gap
gap.
right here.
There's a 160-foot gap between the beginning and end of the
This
flag series.
is what he wants to know.
And we got to, it should be a continuous line.
Because the location affects where the buffer zone lines go.
And if you look at the wetland flag around the proposed building, there's places where it zigs and zags at 90-degree angles, so you can't just say, oh, the general trend is into Littleton. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But the things we're interested in is, does it come any closer to the snow storage area and your septic system?
The wetland line at flag 31 and 32 is a stone wall, which is not shown on that plan. And the wetland line follows pretty much straight down the edge of that stone
Is that where you flagged?
wall. Going west, even west.
It's not flagged, it's not marked, and there's a note here that says the flagging was done in May of 20.
Right, so that was as a part of the May 22.
The rest
At the
Yeah,
order.
we have
That was the ORAD.
we have an NRAD that certified that line.
Right, and that's okay, but if there's things that have been added, it should indicate when they were added, and it should be a continuous,
Down to 65.
like a contour line, they just don't end.
You see this? Well, except this line clearly
That line goes up the stone wall.
right up the stone wall this way.
That's all
It
lawn.
ends right here, right?
So are there wetland flags along that stone wall from 65 down?
They're not marked.
Well, no, because at this point, we're 200 feet away from the project.
Okay.
The last one I can see is up here, where it says WF.
And then
it's-
then
And Jim wants you to
65?
connect over to 32.
What happens between here and here? It's 100.
Okay.
They don't,
So
They don't connect.
right.
This goes off this way.
Okay, so that's,
They don't connect. That's just it. It doesn't do this.
so there's a large
This goes
upland
this
section
way.
going through the backyard of that house?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
there's another house there.
See that house
That
right
house?
here?
Okay,
Yes.
There's another house to the right also.
Over here.
okay, so the wetlands go away from it.
Right. So
So-
originally during the ANRAD process, flags,
You
there were
want
a
this?
couple flags that were already,
Yeah.
so these flags were here when I flagged the whole site. And they just didn't make it on the plan. I don't think it turned out because they were in Littleton or not. So all I did was add these two flags to the stone wall. This comes up to the stone wall, the stone wall runs this way. And then this area here becomes lawn. This is all lawn running right across here. So this house and the other house that's over here. This wetland line runs right up this stone wall. Continues to this parcel down here. All this area in here is lawn for this house. So those two areas do not connect. Those are two separate wetland areas. This is all one wetland complex going down across through the culvert, down into the stream next to Kimball's. And this wetland is, this huge wetland area also feeds the stream at the top that runs down. That's the stream right there. So this all goes down this way, and this one goes down this way. They don't join ever in here at all.
Would you be able to see that on a topo or what, just a general JS overview?
I mean, I can quickly jump on Mass Mappers. and
No,
look at
I'm
that.
just,
Yeah, Mass Mappers, 1 foot topos are, or 1 foot topographic contours aren't bad. At least for. to get a gauge of this.
Oh, so if we extend that wetland line, that one, we're gonna be in their backyard.
Yeah, if,
Yeah, we're already off the property, is the house.
If it does head off that direction, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, pulling up and put on aerial imageries.
Yeah.
And a little tough to see with the aerials on. So this is the back, you can see the cleared backyard for, this is the, actually you can see the stone wall. This is that second stone wall where the, that may be the that may be.
That's the town line? That's the actual town line?
yeah, it's a town line,
That
that's his
wall
dug
is the town
pile.
line.
Yeah, so the
Another
GIS.
wall that goes off this way.
Yeah, but the,
Are there contour lines on?
yeah, they're just really,
It's flat, it's very flat out there.
let me turn off the aerial because they're not, that's not gonna do. So contour lines again. So grading. This is the backyard. This is the back of the property here. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. That's bad. So flattened area of the backyard, and then.
So the topo line, the topo lines are going up.
Yeah, so grading is,
Okay.
this is, going cross grade.
And it's going up slope when it heads to 4 Partridge Lane?
This is the stream channel that runs down underneath the culvert, right here.
Okay.
And this big V in the contours is the stream that runs down adjacent to Kimball's property.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, so that's the flows going this way. And also this way. From the wetland flags 32, wetland flags 32 decreasing are going this way. And then 65 to 50 are flowing to the north and then to the east in this fashion.
So Jim, what would you like us to do, I guess, is the question.
I couldn't tell from that which way was up. There were no markings on any of the contour lines. They said it was a 1-foot contour interval, but it didn't show a single number. So how do we know which way is up and which way is down? I really can't tell. I don't know what happens
Look at
in
these
that gap.
V's right
See the
here. This is
Vs in the
going down.
contours line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's normally the way a stream works.
Yeah.
But we're over here someplace, right?
One moment. So this is contour 268. Yeah, and down here is 270, 278's in this is this. 277 is right here.
The backyards.
Yeah. That's 277. And again, it's faint, just the projector's not as clear. And this is 268.
All right, thank you. I mean, the problem with if the septic's too close, it's gonna be a problem you guys are gonna end up having to fix it at probably considerable cost. The only thing that we're really concerned, I guess, is the snow storage.
Yeah.
And is that, are you okay with the distances there?
I'm just waiting for other people to ask their questions, and then I'm gonna
Oh, okay.
weigh in with mine.
All right.
Okay.
Your septic system, you guys gotta live with it.
No, but Jim, we really, we want to make sure it's outside the 100.
I know, before you build it, you
That's
wanna.
what we did.
Yeah.
So we're very confident. And again, we had to do additional deep hole testing, and it passed very well. So, you know, obviously, as we move to the center of that site, things just get better.
All right, I just don't have confidence that the wetlands markings are adequate here to tell what's 100 feet or not.
All right, well, let us see what we can do to add some additional information on the plan so that you can be comfortable that those two lines, in fact, do not connect.
Well, with this plan, because the elevations, you know, is there a way that systemically you can add the elevations, or continue the elevations off-site so that we can see what's happening as we go through 30, 31, 32?
We'd have to go out and survey that little,
Okay,
all of
so
that
it's
little
not
property.
something that you can just tweak a setting and
No.
the surveys the lines?
We'd have to send a crew out there to
Okay.
survey all of that
Okay.
Littleton land.
Okay.
While we're on this plan, again, we'll see what information, maybe we can see if there's some information in Littleton from when they built the homes or something. That gives us some more information. But we will see what we can get. We want you to be comfortable. I guess the next issue I was going to bring up was a discussion of tree replanting, but before we do that, why don't we talk about snow storage? Because, and Daniel, maybe you can, we had Matt had sent us over a couple of concerns regarding snow storage.
Matt, can you keep it on the one with the elevation lines? Because that's a big driver for my concern. Oh, the one down.
We're on it, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
So, is there planning to be any kind of a guardrail along the backside of those parking spots?
No, the guardrail ends here because there's a retaining wall along here.
So how is the snow going to get to that snow storage space? Are they just going to plow it off the pavement over the slope?
For part of it, maybe, like in smaller snowstorm events. But we do have this gravel area here that was intended to be used for a machine to take snow off the parking lot and then dumped it over here.
Okay, and my concern is so there's, the slope is fairly steep coming off the end of those parking spaces. There's a gentle slope where the snow storage extends towards the stone wall. In the case, since there's no other storage on site, if the ground is not frozen and you're having to remove snow, what, you know, the size of the vehicles that you'll be using to transport the snow into the storage area, what are they going to do to unfrozen ground? I'm really concerned that we're going to get vegetated surfaces, chewed up, potentially degraded to the point where there's erosion.
Well, that's why I think we've proposed those, it's gravel, right? See that right there? We actually created a gravel.
So is this going to be a plow pushing it, or is this going to be a front-end loader driving across?
It would be a machine like dumping snow. It wouldn't be pushed onto that gravel area.
Okay, because that was where I got a little confused, because it talked about a gravel area for pushing snow.
Okay.
So, but it just, the snow storage in that area extends well beyond the side of the soil absorption system. And so if you've got a large piece of equipment going over that non-level ground, if it's a big piece of equipment, if it's heavy, if the ground is not frozen, you're going to be digging up that vegetated soil. And the other thing I'm very concerned about is if you're pushing snow off the pavement over the asphalt curbing or whatever it is, you're basically bypassing all of the stormwater treatment of that snow. You're just putting it directly onto a vegetated surface to melt. And if there's anything in that, if there are any contaminants from the paved surface, they're going into that vegetated area, some of which is as close as 50 feet to the wetlands.
For your first comment, I don't think the idea is that a machine would be anywhere beyond this gravel area. It would be on that gravel area.
But if you, Matt, can you go up a page to show where the snow storage? So you look at how far, so how is the snow going to get to the far end of that storage area if the vehicle is not driving across the vegetated surface?
Yeah, this portion of it would be just pushed.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Push-
she's saying up on that corner there, yeah, thank you.
So how's the snow getting into here? I'm expecting that whatever's carrying the snow is going to have to go over that vegetated ground.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the idea is that the snow would just be falling down as it's dumped from the gravel area.
Well, if it's a level surface, how's it going to keep falling down into that lower area?
Because the grade goes across it. If you look at
It's
the
not a
grade
downward
lines, that
slope.
snow storage area is going cross grade, not down grade.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty flat there.
But if the ground is not frozen and you've got a vehicle that's pushing or carrying, that vehicle is going to basically.
Okay. Could we just extend the gravel area to the edge of the snow?
Do you want us to extend that? Want us to institute some kind of plan?
It'd be pervious. I mean,
Yeah.
that would help.
Yes, that if we've got a gravel area that you're using for snow storage, so that,
Yeah, that the snow's still gonna, melt and go through.
but yeah, I think that is a logistical concern for me, but it really concerns me if we're going to plow snow off the paved surface over the edge and onto a vegetated slope, is you're not using, in that way, you're not taking advantage of all the infiltration and pollutant removal capabilities you've built into your stormwater management, because anything that happens to be on that paved surface is going to get pushed over the slope onto the grass.
But to address that concern, projects would have to create then a paved surface for snow storage so that you could keep the melted snow within the, the curbed
And normally,
stormwater system, and that's not usually what we see. We very often see where we push the snow off the pavement into a...
but not in the buffer zone. You're right, if your snow storage was outside of the buffer zone, I wouldn't be saying anything, but you put it in the buffer zone in places you're within 50 feet of the wetlands.
It's greater than 50 feet.
Well, no, but the bottom of that slope in places comes to the 50, no, in the middle, no, okay. Where I'm looking at this stretch here, where snow is being plowed off the pavement onto the slope, and then the toe of the slope is at 50 feet to the wetlands.
Right.
Okay.
So this area is outside the 50 feet.
Right, but it's still in the buffer zone. It's a fairly steep, it's a,
3 to 1.
yeah, But my concern is with the snow being paved, with the snow that's fallen onto the paved surface, whatever is there on that paved surface being pushed into the buffer zone.
Well, you're worried about the contaminants that the snow is going to, adhere to or whatever, or
It'll get
is going
picked
to
up and
absorb, and
carried.
it's going to get pushed into that area.
Yeah, and then with this other snow storage as well, is, yes, there's a gravel area here, but I counted the elevations, this is from 103 to 108, that's a fairly steep slope there that you would be having a vehicle driving across it if it's going to deposit snow at the far end of that snow. The snow storage area ends roughly there, and so you've got vehicles going over, driving across a fairly steep slope to deposit the snow.
The idea wasn't for them to be driving that whole snow storage area.
Well,
I might have been a little bit generous with how big the area would be. It probably doesn't need to be that big. But
Well,
I think our intent was that they would stay here and dump it from that point.
so is what's going to be dumped in that area, is it on this side of the wetland crossing, or if they plowing up the access road, is what's plowed up the access road then going to be scooped up and put into this snow storage place?
I wouldn't imagine so. There's much more room in the front
There's
part.
plenty,
part of
yeah,
the
there's a
lot.
lot more room in the front for snow storage. What we would be depositing there would be from the crossing back. So, again, going back to the other area where you were concerned about the vegetated slope along the driveway. No, this one.
Okay, the parking area.
I mean, is an option there then to, rather than have that vegetated, to have it, like a large riprap stone where the snow would just melt rather than traveling over the surface?
No, I think she's worried about it pushing contaminants into within that 50-foot buffer area and not having them self-contained in your groundwater or in your stormwater storage type of containment.
Yeah, that whatever is on the paved surface
It's gonna roll in.
is going to, as they're plowing it, it gets scooped up, it goes over the edge of the pavement, and then it goes down onto that vegetated slope with whatever it's carrying is then infiltrated into the soil.
So she thinks you're going to have impacts.
Have to rethink.
Well,
all snow storage in the
that's
buffer
her
zone has to be
concern.
on
That's,
pavement.
Huh?
All snow
No.
storage on buffer zone have to be on pavement?
I'm just saying this is the first, normally when we see snow storage, it's either outside the buffer zone or in some tight sites. They basically have made the decision that says when the snow gets plowed, it gets taken off site. This is the first, this is the first time I can ever remember the entire snow storage area is in the buffer zone.
well, we can also put in no chemicals.
No, but it's
Usage.
oil, it's sand, it's de-icing chemicals, it's whatever has been put on the pavement is now potentially going to be plowed onto a vegetated surface in the buffer zone.
We just remove the snow storage in the back and put it all in the front?
So,
Bigger gravel surface?
no, the bigger gravel surface doesn't answer the question because the snow would melt into the gravel and eventually get into the groundwater.
And if there's,
Whatever's in the snow gets in.
yeah, if there's sand, if there's,
I mean, isn't there some,
Being
Yeah,
captured by a oil grease separator hood or whatever you might have in your stormwater management system.
yeah, whatever happens to be on the pavement ends up being deposited into
the buffer.
Into the buffer where it can infiltrate into the groundwater.
Is there enough room in the
And
front?
you've got wetlands
section
here,
yeah.
to just push that all in the front?
So maybe they
Is that still
is there
priority
enough room just
habitat?
to push the snow from here?
If all the snow gets, is there room on the front part of the site?
yeah.
So that all the
Could it be
snow
any
storage
smaller?
is on that side of
Isn't
the
that clear?
crossing as opposed to this side?
Come on, it's hard to, this is easy to read.
It's crazy.
Okay,
Yeah, there should be plenty of room in the front of the lot.
okay. Yeah, if
Right.
you can,
I'd like to blow up that section too, so I could see it better.
So you want us to eliminate the snow storage?
if it's in the buffer zone,
It's safer to take it out.
I think if it's in the buffer zone, then you want it to be part of the impervious surface that's captured by the stormwater management system, so nothing is getting off.
So maybe there's a combination answer here. And again, I'm just throwing this out, I'm not the engineer. But I've seen a lot of these projects. We could extend the pavement here like that, right, with a curb here. And then that way we create a small snow storage area here that is within the stormwater, right? Does that not work?
That would be below the catch basin.
Ah, it's below the catch basin. Okay, how about back here?
I hear what you're saying, though, Doug. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like if we could...
We're looking for, if we want to keep it within the stormwater management system, then where?
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to go back and think about this. We're not going to design it here.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's
We
not going to do it on the fly.
Get
To
it right.
remove snow storage from the back to the front, or, you know, or a combination of removing some and potentially providing snow storage areas that are within the drainage stormwater
Yeah.
system.
So that
It
any,
could melt
Yeah, you got
and
it.
go
It's-
into the
it's-
catch basin.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Matt, can we do that? Right? Look at it, see what we can propose? Well, we're not gonna...
I'm not answering that question. I don't have I'm not an engineer.
Now, Dan, are you okay with that, Dan? I'm sorry. It's been a long week,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the easiest option would
and
just
it's only
be
Wednesday.
put it in the front.
Yeah, and it just, and this is where, yeah, I mean, I think you've heard the concerns
Yep.
is, you know, if you look at what you can do that will work for the site owner and addresses our concerns, that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
And a combination of the two would be fine.
If,
Yeah.
as long as we
Yeah.
Yeah,
hit
as
both of
long
those
as,
milestones.
as long as,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, we will look at that.
Cool.
okay. And you're going to talk about trees.
Now I can talk about trees? Well, again, we kind of wanted to get ahead of the tree question.
Okay?
And as you'll recall from when we've worked on this site before, this site is inundated with, or it was inundated with knotweed, thank you. And so we had a knotweed eradication plan, and we're still ongoing with that plan for the work that was done on the crossing. So I know Dave put together both a tree planting plan as well as a proposal to initiate a knotweed removal and you know, control program in that area where the arrow
This
is,
is what
right?
got sent to us
Yes.
this afternoon.
Yes, I-
Yeah, I know we
I
just
just,
got
no,
to
yeah,
chance
I
to
know,
look at
I
it.
was just gonna say,
So I just wanted
saw it,
to, I
yeah.
kind of wanted to introduce it to you
Okay,
guys
yeah.
tonight, assuming that when we come back, you know, if you have some changes or questions, we could address them then. But I just wanted to give you, Dave, you want to just maybe give them a quick overview of what is proposed so that when they're reviewing it, they have even that much more?
So in this area here, this is probably right, this whole area right in here is almost exclusively knotweed with some multiflora rose and honeysuckle. Then you start getting into scattered trees. The proposal is not to remove any of the trees that are in here, if you run into any trees, but to remove all the knotweed and then plant some pine trees. This is, back in here is a little pine stand. So we're gonna supplement the pine stand with additional pines and then some red maples or deciduous trees along here.
I can't hear.
No, I can, you just talk louder.
All right.
So, he's gonna plant a combination of pines that are lower up in that area
Yeah.
and some maples or,
Yeah, the list down below.
Yeah.
but my concern there with the pines is if they're too close to his parking lot and stuff, aren't you gonna be coming back and saying, you know, in time to come that you need to take them down because now they're hanging over the parking lot and,
Well, and the pines that are in there right now, are they, if you look at them and think about 20, 30 years from now, are they going to start being a risk to your parking area?
and I think he's taken some of those and migrating them over into
No, I
that
think
area
what-
too, yeah.
If I understood correctly, there's some pines just outside the knotweed area, and you're going to plant more pines near it in the knotweed area to build a pine stand, right?
Right, there's a
Right,
pine stand now, we're going to expand
The pine stand.
Pine stand, okay. And that's far enough, that's,
Which is right there.
Right here.
and it's, I don't know if you were here earlier, but we had people complaining about the problems that tall white pines are giving them, so it's, you know.
It seems like that's the tree of choice to be cutting. So,
Yeah,
I wonder if we should be planting them, if we have to be worried about taking them
Well,
down
but
for
it-
safety concerns later.
Yeah, it just,
This plan here is for discussion, so to speak.
Yeah.
okay,
So, because I know you didn't get a chance to review it, but we can change the plans to whatever the commission would prefer to see, or Mr. Carr would prefer to see. And we're also planting some shrubbery in there as well, but it's gonna be open enough so that we can get back in here and mow it at least twice a year. There's the other area over here next to the, on the right side of the crossing. This was all knotweed, and now it's all basically lawn.
But
right
really,
now.
do we want them to be mowing right to the wetlands flags there? I see what they're talking about, a replication, but do you want it mowed twice a year?
yeah, because.
Right to the wet, I mean,
Well, yeah, it's maybe like a 30-foot buffer, and because, things like bittersweet and poison ivy, mowing does not get rid of them.
well, I'm
doesn't
just
even
saying,
control them.
typically, we wouldn't
Yeah,
be
we
wanting
would,
people to be, as part of whatever restoration effort or whatever,
we'd want to know
mowing,
disturb
have
buffer.
mowing right down to the wetlands flags, on a semi-annual basis.
Yeah, so I think-
So what, in those instances, what do we do, or what have you done in the past about
I mean, if we're.
controlling the
To
knowledge?
remove it, I'm saying, try to remove the invasive species as much as
Right,
possible.
there are herbicide options with which, and then it's not, you're at least, not having, right, exactly, and now we're, proposing, it's an option, I'd rather have the entirety of management options evaluated and available for, the invasive species management, as opposed to, twice a summer mowing. And, even to, Dave's point on the area the existing, knotweed management area on the east side of, that's, de facto lawn, if the goal is to, kind of reset it, what's the, I think the best is, I think it would be best to evaluate all management options for the knotweed, the, was it honeysuckle and multiflora rose, and look,
I would prefer at the end of the day, whatever it is provides more habitat than something that's mowed twice a year.
right, and and what's the best way to achieve that so that we can get to an established no disturb, desirable habitat. That would be my, and not just be relegated to mowing if,
Yeah, if there's something else that's a little more sensitive, than mowing, or conservative.
If you increase the, the trees and the shrubs and things that are in there, do you then go in annually and just hand pick the knotweed as it grows?
I mean, that would be
my preferred choice over.
Try and get enough vegetation in there that it takes over,
Overstory that
and
you're not
then,
getting that.
Yeah, because
then
if you-
just go in once, twice a year and just hand pick around the, which is what I do at my house.
Yeah, because if you've got, knotweed growing,
Yeah,
mowing it twice a year is not going to keep it under control.
right. Well, then.
Yeah, but anyway, so yes.
All right, so we'll.
So we've had some great discussion here this evening, and we're going to take it back and.
That's why we brought it, just to initiate this discussion. We wanted to throw out a
Yeah.
starting point. I think we got the information we needed, and just like what we're gonna do with the snow, Dave's gonna take the information, and we're gonna come back with something different.
We're getting there.
yeah.
Progress.
All right.
And just one last thing, planning board confirming the number of parking
Oh, yeah, we're working on that, yeah. I was talking to
I
Henry.
want it on the
Henry
record.
today. Yeah, no. I talked with Henry today, I sent him a letter and the information, we're working on that.
Okay. So when would you like to come back?
2 weeks?
The 26th? Does that give you enough time?
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay. Oh, first,
We can't get plans.
are there any members of the audience who have any comments or questions on this project?
This page isn't this bad, but.
Okay. Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing till June 26th?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Well, thank you very much, we appreciate your time, we'll get there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our 7:25 PM agenda item, it's a continue public hearing and issue order of conditions for Ram Realty Investments, Inc., 7 Craig Circle.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Seth Donahoe. I'm with Dillison Roy Civil Design Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of Ram Realty Investment, Michael Dizanuku. My office was before you at the last meeting, and this project is at 7 Craig Circle. It's an existing dwelling, which is outside the buffer zone, but we're before you with a notice of intent due to the replacement septic system, the leach field specifically. The grading for it is within the 100-foot buffer zone. And my understanding is we were given a little bit of homework, and that consisted of documenting what trees are within the wooded area that will consist of the breakout slope that's required by the Board of Health and Title V. And we've done that. So those are labeled on your plan. They are letters A, and you can see on the top left there, it looks like we made it all the way through Z on that. Not all of those are to be removed. So we've documented on that table, and I do have handouts of those if anybody can't see with the resolution highlighted. If you'd like those, I'm happy to pass them around. Yeah, my eyes are not that good. But what it comes down to, the executive summary for you, is that there are 14 trees within the erosion control barrier, upgrading of it, that would be required to be removed for this grading. Again, that's required by the Board of Health and Title V. And Mr. Salem was nice enough to forward us a draft order of conditions tonight. And I saw that there was a requirement in there that would be replacing those. 15 would be replaced, and that would be subject to either your review or your department's review prior to construction. And I spoke with the applicant. There were no objections to that. So hopefully we've fulfilled your request, documented those trees, and hopefully the order of conditions is agreeable to the commission, as well as the applicant would be happy to replace those as well. So I think, unless I miss anything, I believe it was a fairly definitive and quick ask. So hopefully the commission doesn't have anything else that they need from us. The applicant would like to move forward with the project.
Any comments or questions? Matt, in terms of with the 15 trees, given all the slopes that we're talking about, do you think the trees are going to have to be
there's some understory, but I think a combination of, trees at the edge of, again, and this is facing the north, so it will be shaded. The species will be shaded, so just, I think the goal would be to make sure we're selecting shade
tolerant?
Yeah, shade tolerant species, but, kind of establishing them along the limit of work, and have them be planted in there as a mix of, for replacing kind of the young, establishing new young trees at the edge of the limit of work, but also, some shrubs, things that flower, provide beneficial habitat.
So variety of plantings.
Yeah, right, a variety of plantings as would, one would anticipate. So I
Give them a list.
Native species.
Yeah, and that's something, usually we work through during the process. And just other items, the limit of work the tree line was adjusted. They added comments about conservation markers, which are referenced in the special conditions. And I think that was...
That's it.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions on this project from members of the audience? Okay, no questions from the commission. Have people, people have reviewed the order of conditions. Are there any comments or questions there? Okay, can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions as written?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to our 7:30 PM agenda item, we're looking at a discussion about tree removal at Tadmuck Meadows.
I think we could ask to have plans a little bigger.
That's why I look on my computer, you can blow it up.
But better we have large ones than something.
I didn't realize I could have sent pictures. I have a packet of pictures. Just two.
Thank you.
I've seen. They can be passed.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was very entertained by the previous tree removal, conversations here. And it seems to me that a lot of the conversations are,
Identify yourself.
Nancy Rigby. I'm a board member of the condominium, Tadmuck Meadow Condominium Trust. And as I was saying, what was I saying? It seems like everybody that came before me is pre-construction. They want to build something and they need an approval from you. And I am what occurs 10 years after you approved the construction of Tadmuck Meadows. So I just think it's kind of an interesting situation. So I guess the reason I'm here is because we live, our condominium complex is constructed within at least 100 feet. I don't know what the buffer rules are these days. I know a long time ago I used to hear 100 feet was the buffer. And Matt came out, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I have my building, my unit, my deck is 8 by 8. There's about 8 feet of grass and a rock wall, and it goes down into the wetlands. And Matt, I stood on the rock wall, and Matt took a what do you call those, a tape measure, and I think, what did you measure, 36 feet from the rock wall where I was standing to where the water was. So essentially, I live, if you, yeah.
Press the button, don't look at it.
Okay, so my unit is right here, and Matt came out, and I stood on the rock wall, and we measured, and I don't know exactly, I guess, is this line the rock wall right here?
No, that's the wetlands. That's the edge of the wetlands.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I didn't think it was that far from my building. I guess the rock wall's right here then, because it's really my deck and then probably double out my deck, and it's right there. And so, when I stood on the rock wall, right about here, it was 36 feet to water, standing water, essentially. So, I can see when I stand on my deck, I can see old growth and new growth. Big trees like oak trees, pine trees, and those aren't the trees I'm concerned about. It's the trees probably within 20 feet from the rock wall to out from there. And they're mostly birch, some pine, and the pictures that I just sent around are showing how the birch trees, they grow taller every single year, and now they're up against the building, hanging on the decks. This has happened for the last couple of years. And this past winter, it was hanging over my deck, up the siding, and on the roof. By the time Matt came out, of course, it's summer, they're all healthy, they're back up. So what I'm seeking is kind of a weird request. I don't know if you're going to get this too frequently, but a reciprocal buffer, meaning where we might be able to take care of what we need to take care of within 20 feet of that rock wall. And in speaking with Sierra in your office, she sort of gave me some hints and clues that if I'm going to take something out, I might need to replace them with new vegetation. So I guess what I'm sort of proposing is, within the first 10 feet from the rock wall out, low-growing vegetation, shrubbery and bushes, and in the next 10 feet, so 10 to 20 feet beyond the rock wall, maples, because they don't flop over, they're hardwood trees, and possibly crabapple trees or something like that, where we get to look at something nice, and then 20 feet out, it's all natural. We have 27 acres, mostly undevelopable land. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say. If there's any questions.
Matt, where the rock wall is.
So this photo from 2013, 2014 shows, let's go through the photos because it makes a little more sense.
Okay.
This area, actually this is 1995 aerial imagery. This was previously cleared. I think it was maybe some form of gravel industry or something of the such. In the early 2010s, the developer came in to construct a 40B development within the limits of the existing cleared area. Again, tried to keep the location and context the same between the two photos. In reviewing the meeting minutes and reviewing the order of conditions issued, the commission wanted, understood that it was previously disturbed, and the construction of the dwellings was located at 50 feet from the wetland resource. And, for grading purposes, they, created this stabilized rock slope. This 2013, 2014 photo is certainly the best view of kind of it encapsulating the developed area. 2019, again, aerial imagery after the units have been constructed. Again, the rock slope is certainly still present, but you do start to see more vegetation getting established, and again in 2023 as well. The pertinent order of the decks, the development at the time, looking back at meeting minutes, the decks on sonotubes will enter the 50-foot, but most of the buildings are outside of it. This is represented in the approved plan that I previously had up. We can certainly return to that. And, again, the intent of the discussion was to reduce impacts within 50 feet of the wetland resources, and the plan reduced, the total number of units reduced over time. In the special conditions of the issued order, that's just the plan. There were special conditions approved by the commission to where were you? Road edge.
Condition 38.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, the area between the erosion control limit of work barrier is as shown on the plan of record and described in condition 24 of the order, and the wetland shall be designated as the buffer zone within which no site disturbance shall be allowed, including operation of, not limited to, construction equipment, excavation, regrading, removal of trees, other vegetation, plate, cement, fill, loose boulders, or any tree, as there wasn't, in my understanding in reviewing the project record, between the meeting minutes and the order, as there wasn't a buffer to the jurisdictional wetland resource at the time of approval, the commission wanted a naturalized buffer to be established. I think the naturalized buffer that is the naturalized buffer has become established over the 10 years, and that is what the residents are now experiencing in terms of growth.
So nature planted stuff?
Yes, I mean, it revegetated quite well.
And now we've got some of the things that decide to grow there are creating issues for the structures.
Correct.
And so this was the approved plan of record, again, 50 feet, you know, the 50-foot line is certainly right at the
Building.
edge of foundation. Again, there are some decks in there. The toe slope of the rock, slope was about 36, again, in the one location I looked, was about 36 feet from the edge. So, you know, 14 feet from the, you know, whatever, the slope of a 3-to-1.
Can we give them any relief or
So,
no?
no.
So how many trees are we talking about here?
A lot. I mean, a lot. It's the woods, you know, it's nature, it's, let me use this thing. So it's all behind these buildings. These buildings haven't had it touch the buildings, but I just showed you the pictures. I'm here, they're flopping over, they're hitting the building all the way up the side onto the roof, and they're only gonna get bigger. And I could say, oh, I'll cut this one down, please let me cut this one or that one. But right behind them is the next group of birch trees that are smaller, and they're just gonna grow. So that's kind of why I want to tackle it in a more permanent basis and plant something that won't do what the birches are doing. And I kind of want to clear some of the pine trees that are going to grow, because they get quite large, as I was hearing from other people that sat here before me. They become, you know, the next problem, so.
So you're not talking about chopping of branches which are leaning towards the
Well,
taking out the whole tree?
you mean the pine trees? Well, in this building, right here, it looks like the builder might have planted 5 pine trees right in a row, like as if maybe it was part of what they had to do as being a builder, and they didn't really care where they put them, so they put about 5 pine trees right in this area, and now they're getting quite large. And even the residents that live there want them taken down because they fear that someday they're the trees that are gonna land on their unit. And the irony is they look planted, they don't look natural, so
they're between the rock wall and the structure. Your birch are between the rock wall and the wetlands.
Yeah.
But here you're saying the pine trees are between the rock wall and the building.
I don't think so. I think they're on the other side of the rock wall.
So they're,
yeah.
Okay, so they're,
Yeah.
okay.
But you know what, it might be between the rock wall and those little signs that say conservation area, do not disturb. There is about a couple of feet from the rock wall to those
Okay.
signs. They might be
Maybe we
that.
should take another site visit here, look at this, and then continue this discussion.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'm having difficult, I've seen some pictures, I hear what's being said, I read what the order of conditions said. We need to take a look, and maybe after we maybe have a discussion, come up with some sort of, you know, plan.
You know, next steps. Again, this is
Yeah,
just,
next
you
step.
know, and what the what the filing is, you know, again, is
Yeah.
it, you know, what's the, what
How do we handle this?
It almost,
Yeah, and I would say a starting point for you would be to start, you know, in that length, the area that you're talking about, is start doing an inventory of, you know, the birch that you see that are problematic, because we have birch, and yeah, they.
Yeah,
So,
you
yeah.
get too much snow, they bend, yeah.
So yeah, I would say start doing an inventory, because one of the things we'll want to know is how many trees you're proposing. So if you start now with the inventory of how many birch, how many pine, then that gives us a starting number to develop a plan from.
Yeah, is my, do I have to do a one-to-one replacement?
Well, let's, you know, why don't you do your inventory? You know, they could even go so far as maybe, you know, put some caution tape or something around the ones that, you know, so we can visually see it when we're out there as a marker.
Flag them
and
so
then,
they'll know which ones.
you know, we'll take a look and we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
because one of the things is if you're going to be intentionally planting, you can choose a native species that doesn't grow as tall. Some of it, as you've heard us also say, is if you're doing, you know, tall shrubs, stuff that flowers to provide habitat, you can actually be looking at a mix of replacement vegetation, as opposed to just take out a tree, put in a different tree, you know, come up with a plan that gives more a variety of habitat.
Okay. I just want to add one more thing. I was kind of hoping to have some of this resolved before next winter, so I don't know how these timelines work on your end, so I'm just saying.
I mean,
that out loud.
site
I
visit,
think we got to be able to come up with a plan of action before the snow flies.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the kind of thing that yes, with assuming it has to go through a public hearing process, et cetera, yes, the expectation is you would probably be able to be doing the work in the fall.
Okay.
Fall being a great time, if you're planting trees and shrubs, September, October is a great time to put them in the ground and let them get established.
Okay. All right, good information. Thank you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we should try to schedule a site visit sooner than later so we can
yep, yeah, I mean,
this moving.
end of next week, I'm thinking,
Okay,
time frame-ish.
Okay,
Great.
Thank you.
very much.
Do you have to say that thing about,
Oh, yeah, the audience.
Yeah. So are there any members of the audience who would like to, who have comments or questions on this, this topic? No, normally that's for the public hearing process, but you're right. I mean, if there were other people in your development that would have their own comments or questions.
yeah, okay, so I'm free to go.
You're free to go.
All right, thank you.
Okay, moving on to our 7:40 PM agenda item, public hearing for Lawrence, 62 Buckboard Drive.
No,
56.
No, it's 56 Depot.
Yes. 7:40 PM agenda item, public hearing for DeFlumery.
Close, yeah, DeFlumery, it's pretty close.
DeFlumery, okay, 56 Depot.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 12, 2024, at 7:40 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Christopher DeFlumery for the installation of a fence within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands, bordering land subject to flooding, under waterway, and within the 200-foot riverfront area at 56 Depot Street.
Good evening, members of the committee. I'm Chris DeFlumery. I live a little less than a mile that way.
Excellent.
And I came here tonight to talk about putting in a fence. We moved to Westford a few years ago and bought this property, and we've lived there for a few years, and we had a baby. And I have a 19-month-old daughter, Josephine, who is very eager to get into the water behind my house. Very, very eager. And I saw a kid drown in a pool the other day, and it scared the crap out of me, and so I was really happy this was coming up. So behind my house is a grass lawn with a big maple tree in the middle. It's bordered by vegetation on all sides, and you can see my land goes back into the wetland area and sort of corners that way. I have no desire to go into that area. What I'd like to do is I would like to put a 4-foot black chain link fence within the grass line to try to prevent my kids from going in the water. There's vegetation between me and the water right now, quite a bit, but I talked with Matt and Sierra in the Conservation Resource Planning's office after talking to the building office, and they suggested this was the right process to go through, so that's what I did.
So Matty wants to put this on existing lawn, right?
Yes.
What's his closest point?
I was out this afternoon, and it is quite vegetated between the edge of lawn and what I perceive to be the edge of a resource area.
I'm not seeing.
I think it's at least 30 feet.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's fine. He's on existing lawn, and it's just, that's what it would be.
You know, included in his narrative, he did some of my work for me, and much appreciated. If the commission finds it so, can be considered a minor activity under the fencing, provided it will not constitute a barrier to wildlife movement. Again, there is the 30-foot buffer too. And also it is a minor activities under the riverfront regulations are exempted from the requirements thereof, as it is a minor activity. So if the commission can find one or two
Jim?
But answer any questions.
The boundary that's going to be here is one side is a hedge, another side is a post fence, split rail fence or something?
Yeah, so it's just a wire fence. That was there when I bought the property.
And you're proposing the white section, the black
Just the
chain
white
link
section,
fence.
yep, that's the only
So,
change.
well, would that be considered something that would block wildlife transit? Because they can still traverse, I don't know what.
Right, and actually, the post fence is,
It's
I don't know,
fine.
they have, it's 3-inch, and it's,
Opening.
it's 3-inch
And hedge on
grading.
one side is fine, and
Yeah.
the post fence on the other, so it shouldn't be considered as
Yeah, I'm fine with
blockage,
this,
right?
Jim.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
works for me.
Good.
No?
I have the same question.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, so, I'm going to ask for a motion for conditional and negative determination, which is a good thing.
Negative.
Okay, so just a negative determination. So can I have a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
That's a
So-
good thing.
That's a good thing. Matt will be in touch with the paperwork. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So Matt will be in touch with the paperwork that you need for your next steps.
Fantastic, thank you very much for your time, I really
Hey,
appreciate it.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Welcome. Have a good evening.
Okay, now we're on to our 7:45 PM agenda item, which is a public hearing for Lawrence, 62 Buckboard Drive.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter
swear to God, they're
131,
getting
Section
worse
40, the
and worse.
Wetlands Protection Act and Westford's non-zoning wetlands
What? Oh,
bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 at 7:45 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application for Emily Lawrence for the removal of 14 trees within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 62 Buckboard Drive.
Good evening. My name is Emily Lawrence, 62 Buckboard Drive. I moved here 2 years ago, and over the 2 years, I've seen many of the trees in the back wooded area fall, some on my property damaging fences, some fortunately away from the property. So this summer, I went out, or at the beginning of the spring, I tagged a few trees that I thought looked like were dead. The previous owner had put some birdhouses into them, and so they are just dead stumps. So I was thinking, which ones should I cut down? And so I called the tree company. The arborist agreed with the ones that I thought looked damaged and dangerous. And then he said, you were within the wetlands. So I started this process with Matt. I have some pictures to show. Oh, it's tricky. But this is the side of the house which is close to the wetlands. There are three of those trees are just completely dead. There is one tall pine tree that I would like to take down. Some of the big heavy branches have already started falling. One hit the house. And there are a couple of other trees that look healthy enough, but their roots are exposed and they're leaning strongly towards the house. These are just some of the closer pictures of the dead ones with the birdhouses on them. Some of those stumps are the trees that have recently fallen. This is up the pine tree, which is all the dead sticks. There's not really too much. It's growth at the top, but the arborist said he had concerns about it.
This is pine tree over here, just for.
Yep. And then in the back of the house, like trees number 1 through 7 or so, the wetlands are much further away, so I don't think they are as much in question. But again, there are dead trees, there are leaning trees. And that's about it.
So I stopped this morning to look at the site, look at the trees. They are all marked. I think the arborist letter was included in the commission's packet. In terms of kind of thoughts about, did discuss with the applicant, leaving some kind of taller standing stumps, just for habitat, woodpecker, woodpecker habitat effectively, but also to the north and top side of the plan, if there were replacement, trees or shrubs, again, kind of enhance the overall wetland buffer, that I think would be probably the most advantageous locations. We have photos. So kind of in this, at this shrub line where, it's grass up to, there's not much understory, and there are a couple trees to be removed in that area. I think balancing, kind of creating understory and planting a mixture of trees and flowering, fruit-bearing shrubs.
Shade tolerant?
Actually, it'll be, it's south-facing, so they'll be.
Okay, so they'll get lots of sun?
Yeah, they'll get more sun than some other.
I did look at the website Matt sent over.
Yeah, and so we can.
It would take me a long time to choose what would be good there, but do I run that by you and see what you think? Yeah, okay.
It's usually
sure.
At the end of the day.
And I also wanted to mention that, you said that it's important to know the tree company is coming in with a crane to put on my driveway, not driving over the grounds at all and pulling the trees out that way. Or not pulling anything out, they're not removing anything, just leaving stumps however high they need to be. It's fine with me.
And did also observe some some bittersweet starting along the edge, and recommended if, as a...
St. Margaret.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids home for summer break, so they're going to be busy pulling all that out.
Yeah, be sure to get the roots.
Okay.
Nickel per vine.
I wish.
Some manual invasive removals also I think would benefit the area. So.
So do you agree with the ones that need to be dropped?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. So the live ones are certainly experiencing tropism and growing into, the sun as was created when the subdivision was built. Every tree that had a bird house on it was dead. So
not cause and effect, hopefully.
Right, yeah, but you didn't put them out there.
It wasn't me.
There you go. Okay, so they didn't create their own hardship. Perfect. But I do agree, certainly.
So you're good with it?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay.
I would just.
So we're gonna, and she's gonna provide some sort of
one-to-one replacement of trees and shrubs, and half of this, half shall be, left as, 10 to 15 foot standing stumps.
Okay.
As conditions.
Okay. Can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative determination?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yep, Matt will be in touch with the paperwork.
Motion to close a public hearing.
Oh, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our 7:50 PM agenda item. It's a public hearing for Evans, 12 Thistle Lane.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 at 7:50 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application for Gail Evans for the construction of a 14 by 14 foot screen porch addition to a single-family dwelling within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding at 12 Thistle Lane.
My name is Daryl McCrensky, and I'm Gail and Chris's contractor. And basically, we're here tonight because we'd like the board to consider giving us relief to remove a deck that's on the back of the existing family room, and then building, right there. Building a new 14 by 14 screen porch off the back with helical piers. It's basically pretty straightforward in terms of
It's just sonotubes on existing lawn
I'm
surface.
actually going to use the helical piers. I actually brought
Big screws.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I brought some pictures of
Great.
the job we just did with it.
Oh, yeah.
It minimizes the amount of disruption of the soil, even more than digging the regular sonotubes by hand.
Okay.
It's amazing, yeah.
What's the distance from the wetland?
We estimated about 90 feet from the, based on the GIS mapping.
Yeah, and in looking at the
some plans from when the house was originally constructed. It's just at the edge of the commission's jurisdiction. As additionally, this may be considered a minor activity under the state's Wetlands Protection Act, 310 CMR 10.2B2E, where it's the conversion.
Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah.
Okay, then say it and let's get done with it.
And minimal impact while
Yeah, it's all on
construction.
and,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it's all,
Minimal ground disturbance.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? No, okay.
There's no audience.
Member of the audience.
Okay, can I have a motion, is this conditional or just negative?
just negative.
Can I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience waiting all this time.
Yes,
But we made it quick for you at least.
I know, yeah, very, very much, thank you.
okay. Moving on to our 7:55 PM agenda item, a request for certificate of compliance for Haley 7 Island Path Road.
I can handle this. This recently came before the commission to, the property owner was requesting the certificate of occupancy be signed prior to language be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. The property owner's attorney did provide language, proposed language of the notice to be recorded concurrently with the certificate of compliance, just for their ease. Did perform a site walk last week with the property owner and the project engineer. The construction was the existing dwelling is in the location as proposed, and compensatory or flood storage underneath the front portion is 3 feet greater than what was lost, or than what was existing, so they've
So it's
provided
even
more.
better.
Yeah,
Are there,
right. So-
on those openings that allow the
Yes,
flood
there-
water?
yep,
Is there
and-
meshes or screens or something there?
I don't know what,
They're gonna end
I
up
mean,
with
there
raccoons.
are, yeah, so the photos show them.
Yeah, they look open.
Yeah, I think there are industry standards for, what it is in the event, you go down to the Jersey Shore, you see actually, ones that could potentially be used as opposed to this one, which if, we have a 100-year flood of NAB and these are being used, I think there are other issues elsewhere in that end of town.
Oh, for sure.
So, I don't know what they're planning on doing, but they're there and constructed as designed. And would recommend a COC be issued.
Okay. If there are no questions, can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1835?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On to the next.
This certificate of compliance was for the addition to a single-family house. Also approved at the time was the extension of the existing deck. The project proponent did come back and seek a minor modification to move the addition further away from the wetland resource prior to construction and to not install the deck and associated footings, which I observed not there. Erosion controls have been removed, and the site is establishing, and would recommend the commission issue a certificate of compliance for the project.
Okay, if there are no questions, can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1777?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
The certificate of compliance request for 60 Littleton Road, I'm recommending tabling. They have some erosion controls to still remove. Jim, I'll call on you through the chair.
I didn't see the letter that was in our packet, and the note that's in the upper left corner of the plan here is very loosey-goosey in terms of how close they were to the original plans. It gives them a big out by saying that everything is pretty much in accordance with the design intent.
I mean,
except for modifications that are approved through a construction process. So what modifications,
So they had the overall, again, this was the plan that was used for zoning planning board as well. And they, numerous times, they originally, actually, just pull up the plan, maybe easier to show. The original design of the overall lot had a grading easement to the west on the abutting property. They were not able to secure that grading easement, so they had to construct the retaining wall outside of the 100-foot buffer to the wetland resource. They also added, I think, a generator pad.
It doesn't say anything about that in their letter.
Right, I mean, but, so if you would like, I mean, so.
They should indicate what the differences are between them.
A write-up of the differences?
Just address them, address the modifications over the construction process.
Yes, yes. Because the way it is written now, anything could match, would be fine. Anything they want to do. So as long as what they did was approved by us and okayed by us, I'm good with it. But the way it's written right now, the letter and this note, it's exactly the same wording. They just cut and paste.
They're supposed to articulate the deviations.
Yes.
Even if not.
They should do that.
I'll ask them to address the deviations, even the ones outside the buffer, yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Again.
So that one's tabled. Okay.
Story this is a similar request to one from, I think, 2022. The group puts up kind of yard sale sized signs along the loop around Grassy Pond. There's a story, I think this year it's to be about tools. And they were seeking approval to hold the story walk between July 19th and August 2nd. I remember hearing positive things from residents at that time. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure Noel was one of the people I heard from. So if there are any questions, I can certainly try to answer them if they're beyond my scope, or if the commission is on favor, we can.
What do they do?
They put up
little signs that you walk around, you read the signs, it makes a storyline where the kid works with mom or dad and builds a birdhouse. And at the end, you can either they have a box where you can get some plans to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy wood to build one yourself, or you can send in some money and buy a kit, or you can.
Okay, so it encourages.
So it's a book, and each sign is a page of the book.
Like a story.
And as you walk, you read the book. And,
That sounds cool. Good. That sounds good.
Yeah. Very cool. And so again, commission approved it in 2022. I mean, again, I can always.
I looked up the organization. They're almost exclusively funded by the state. I don't know where, they're in the tens or $100 million range budget-wise, but not just for this project, obviously. But they work a lot with housing throughout the Merrimack Valley and these kind of things, little projects in the various towns.
That sounds pretty good.
And Westford's one of the towns in their area.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm more than happy to always have them come back to the commission with each request, but also if the commission wants to just kind of give.
So can I have a motion to approve the request for?
It's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks that the stuff will be there.
To hold a story walk from July 19th to August 2nd.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
With respect to the Day Agricultural and Conservation Land lease, I've been in communication with the lessee to remind them they do need to sign the lease and get it notarized. Yeah, but they want to. Haven't stopped in and signed.
Okay. So that one's.
More at a future meeting.
More at a future meeting. Okay.
I'm just saying hold.
Okay.
Is this the second or third time we've done this now?
we've been talking about this since last fall.
She does a good job with growing. The administrative is a little bit more difficult.
She's a farmer, not a paper pusher?
Yeah.
If she thought she'd lose it, she might move faster. Maybe.
Discussion items, 20 Keys Road. I have not worked on this since the commission's last meeting.
They're still actively doing construction, little by little.
Yeah, I saw that.
Had the discussion.
Stony Brook Conservation Area, we kind of addressed concurrently with open forum.
We did.
Edwards Woods Conservation Area, restoration of disturbed area. Noel, have you?
I have not been in there because of the massive amounts of poison ivy.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not witnessed it. There's more grass clipping. I mean, the same stuff. There's a lot of stuff down there.
So you're continuing to see dumping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Poison ivy's thick though this year, huh?
Oh,
Prolific.
yeah.
Very
Big
prolific,
leaves,
yeah. Just-
All up and down Tenny. I was walking up there. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's reaching out.
Garlic mustard, like you guys have been telling me.
Well, but it's, because it's a biennial, is from now through fall, any new plants you take them up now. That's second-year plants that you're not going to see next year. So this year, whatever you can take out now that's a first-year plant, it's just reducing the work that has to be done next year. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to get ahead of it.
And it's so satisfying.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Easy compared to
Bittersweet.
Can't go within 10 feet of it.
Yeah. So
Bittersweet's coming in our front door.
Freedom Park continues. I'm on my 5th garbage bag of poison ivy vines and roots. I have spread, now that the bittersweet that I'm pulling up is now spilling over onto a second tarp for drying. But I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm getting near the end of where I saw the bittersweet coming from what was cut last year. So once I've got that done, then it's just a matter of periodically checking and see where I missed a root that sent up a thingy. But Matt's going to get me some seed mix, because one of the things I want to do is where I've got open ground.
That would be nice.
Is do a raking and then spread seed. There's a lot of milkweed coming up and some other stuff closer to the pond, but I'd like to get a better mix of plants in there. And I've been doing a lot of, anybody who walks in there, I say hi. I've been doing a lot of recruiting for people to kind of become stewards, that once we've got the invasives under control, is a lot of people from the mill are really interested in the place, people in the neighborhood, and get them to pick up, keeping up with, keeping an eye out for invasives and taking care of it in the years going forward. Noel's got some to talk about as well.
Sure. Well, one thing I saw, I was there removing the slats for the benches, and we hid the thing behind the gazebo. But there were people taking pictures there. Like, there's a photographer and young.
You mean where the that monument is, or just in the park?
The whole park. So
Oh,
I
really?
warned them about poison ivy. They had a young kid, and it was 20 photos. Yeah, anyway, so we're half done with the benches, right? Disassembled, plain, so next step is stain them and then put them back together. After that, we need to get town engineering involved, right?
We need.
I talked, it's gonna be surface grading, kind of just off to the side again. I don't know how much change of grade we can, it should be kind of, I think the ultimate goal should be flush with so then it's not a trip hazard of the other, so either a raise in elevation or a drop in elevation, going from one to, say, the grass, but also in terms of, just kind of sheet flowing off of it. I think that may just be, so if it's at grade and just kind of drains off to the side.
So they don't want to come and see it or anything?
Yeah, they didn't have too much import to, you just don't want to have the water staying on it, which, so whether as long as there's some either infiltration or just kind of little bit of grade elevation change.
Did you mention to them the geysers that are causing
No, I
erosion?
haven't.
Okay, because there are a couple of holes where the neighbor has said that when it rains very, very heavily, there's actually water gushing out of these holes. It's running overland and it's creating erosion into the pond. So next time it rains very heavy, he's gonna take pictures for me so we can actually see it in action. But yeah, I think where it's causing erosion into the pond, that's something we need to look at. The reason I also discovered that, people had talked about concerns about the holes, and when I was there for Memorial Day, is where the veterans lined up. They were standing right where the holes were, and it's like, yeah, you don't want somebody, or just twisting an ankle or whatever. So there's still work to be done there. One of the things I did talk about is they have a tradition of reading a passage and throwing a wreath into the pond. And as I'm working there the following week, the wreath had floated back. It was under the dock. And so I talked to Jeff Hall, and we ended up fishing it out. It was half covered with aquatic vegetation, and it's kind of like, can we talk to these people? Is there another way that they can do the commemoration of the passage? And it was a really nice wreath. It looked like all natural materials, no wire involved. If they're wanting it someplace to just decompose, as the passage talks about, can we maybe find a place in the park to put it so that happens?
Hang it, maybe, never move it.
Well, but part of it, and one of the things, hang it in a tree, or, the passage, and I don't know, Jim, if you're familiar with this, the passage that talks about, remembering fallen comrades, but it was just, maybe even one of the things is to suggest having a plaque with part of that passage on it, and then the wreath goes there.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, so it just, there's lots of conversations still to have.
There's the fence too.
Yeah, I'm working towards that.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list.
Yes, and
working toward it.
the fence contractor, and then also what we do about that stockade, which is now nicely supported. Okay.
And that ceremony was really very nice.
Yes, it was. And I would say there was about 100 people there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 50 for sure.
Yeah. And there were 6 or 8 of Francis Sullivan's descendants there. So, yeah, it was very well attended.
Conservation got some good mention there.
Yeah, we had Jim Marciero, we had Jeff Hall. Lots of talking. But yeah, okay, so, Summer Village?
Summer Village, I'm actually speaking with their environmental consultant tomorrow morning. I have some other projects I need to talk with her about, and this was on the list. The CR at 28 Jarvis Hill Estates, I haven't made progress on. The next item, the commission to authorize transfer of $3,500 for the O'Brien Farm Footbridge Design Services. These funds were originally paid out through the Mass Trails grant, but where the grant wasn't extended, the accounting department let me know that we need to kind of balance the books, and requesting the commission authorize the transfer from one of the reserved bylaw receipts or one of the commission's reserved receipts accounts to balance this.
Do we need to say which one, or you'll figure it out?
I'll talk with
the accountant. Okay, so can I have
away from the money.
Can I have a motion to authorize the transfer of $3,500 from one of our reserve accounts to the O'Brien Farm Footbridge Design Services?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We received an update from the property owner at 30 Preservation Way regarding their compliance with the enforcement order. They are substantially done. Included in the commission's meeting packet were trees they planted, additional plantings they put in, the signage on the cobbles. I did stop out this afternoon prior to the meeting. Things looked good. I know one of the commissioners raised the concern about black dyed mulch. That is actually the compost. And it is dark. That is dark, good compost.
The plan is to not maintain it, right?
No, not to maintain it, yeah.
Okay.
They've planted ground covers, actually,
Oh, they got the markers.
yeah,
on the
kind of
cobbles.
some of these in here are wild strawberry, and they're actually starting to spread. Even already, they're starting to spread and, create an effective ground cover, so things look good and going. Really,
Rabbits are going to be happy.
really dark mold.
What'd you say?
I said the rabbits are going to be happy about the strawberries.
Yeah, we don't get it.
But I would, with the commission's approval, I can follow up with the property owners and acknowledge compliance with the commission's enforcement order.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Minutes.
No, hybrid meeting.
Oh, hybrid. Oh. I already got in trouble for not including those. The select board at their April 23rd meeting requested the 3 land use boards to put an item on an upcoming agenda for discussion and feedback of holding hybrid meetings, and I wanted to get y'all's input.
What does that entail?
I'm not in support of the hybrid meetings. We did run those before during COVID, and it was always difficult, getting somebody to run the audio-visual equipment in the background. Matt just would need to grow 2 or 3 more arms to do both, keeping track of his files and what's going on with the meeting, and the audio-visual stuff at the same time. It also makes it very difficult to refer to things on plans and maps that we oftentimes do when we're speaking with an applicant. Like the people we had here today, the Sullivan Tire folks, for example, there's an awful lot of information on those plans that people were pointing out in small individual parts, and which would be physically impossible to do if they're at home, you guys are at home, I'm at home, and
So it would actually, it's not virtual meetings, it would be to hold hybrids, so having, kind of like how the select board is, but yes, your point's taken.
It's much harder with people aren't all in the same place discussing details in a plan. So I really like us when we're all here at the same time, not just us, but our applicants too.
So, and to echo your point, so anybody participating hybridly is not going to be able to see.
Not everything that we're going to see, and
They're not going to be able to see all of the pointing, the discussions, et cetera, that's part of the material presented at the meeting.
Right. For those reasons, I'm opposed to
Can't see it if it's
hybrid
hybrid.
meetings or remote meetings. Either of those, I'm not in favor of.
How do you feel about not being able to see the hybrid, we as commission members not being able to see the people who are participating in a hybrid meeting? In terms of...
With us not seeing, we don't have to see.
No. Is if somebody decides that they want to participate...
But they're in Connecticut.
...remotely...
Oh, if they want to watch the meeting?
No. If they want to be able to dial in so that they can listen to the conversation, they can maybe make comments, ask questions, share information with us, we are not able to see them the way we can see a member of the audience who stepped up to the mic.
I'm okay not seeing them, but I want to, if they're going to expect us to interact with them and talk about the plans, it won't work if they're not here.
Okay.
If they're going to participate in the meeting, I want to talk with them face to face. We can point things out on the screen. We can use the laser pointers and all that. But if they're sitting at home telling us something on the phone, saying,
Or they have a question and they can't see us answering it.
And they can't express to us exactly what they're talking about on a plan.
Okay.
And I would say the only exception would be if there was a real hardship, reasons that someone couldn't be and it was an imperative.
You mean like the way we have somebody dial in now?
Yeah, I wouldn't have trouble. In other words, I wouldn't say you could never talk before us, you know, all of a sudden you're in a wheelchair. Something crazy happened.
Right, I mean, but that's also, I mean, but there are still provisions of the Americans with Disabilities Act that, you know, if somebody has, you know, we have to comply with, you know, accommodating.
That's
you know,
the area
like
where I
town
feel I
meeting.
would omit.
I kind of have to echo what Jim said. You know, it's hard, you know, and I'd like to have an applicant here to understand them, present their issues, their plan, have that discussion. As Jim says, it's far easier to understand a plan when you can see the full set or whatever, as opposed to, you know, trying to see it all on the little tiny screen when we're doing it remotely. I just find this a better, more conducive environment, and one of the biggest issues that we always have is misunderstanding, miscommunication. And I just think a hybrid environment might lead to more of that. And I think that's the thing that we most fear, because, you know, all of a sudden people misunderstand us, and, you know, by the time we find out what's going on, it's too late.
And we have so much detail going on here.
Yep, I mean, and
It's a different kind of
I had Sierra do some fantastic research looking back to the beginning of 2020. So that's, you know, almost 3.5 years of data of commission meeting and, you know, with a fairly with a decent mix of virtual meetings and in-person meetings. And the average number of public participants in virtual meetings, in-person meetings, was about the same. And it approximately, you know, the commission, you know, regularly sees about, you know, 60, I think it was approximately 60 public hearings a year between notice of intents and request for determinations of applicability. And over the average number of public participants per year was about 20. So one person speaks for about, you know, one person, you know,
has questions.
Yeah, you know, or just spoke. I don't know if I don't know if we're solving a problem here. You know, again, the meetings are broadcast on Westford Cat, or at bare minimum the government channel when we get preempted by other stuff. Additionally, I think the commission and also the other two land use boards are very diligent in getting their minutes, you know, having draft meeting minutes in a timely fashion, so that, you know, you can, you know, you're 1 or 2 meetings behind, you know, you can keep up with, you know, if you want to just stay informed.
And they're put up, immediately put up.
And so the comments that I had, and I've always sent these to Matt, is if we had hybrid meetings with people participating, how would that portion of the meeting be incorporated into the WCAT live broadcast and playback online, so that people taking advantage of that can hear and see what the people participating remotely are saying? Is you've got to get it integrated so that what people are seeing on WCAT is the complete meeting, not just only the in-room portion. The other thing is when people make comments, ask questions, et cetera, we ask them to identify themselves. That becomes part of our public record through the minutes. And if we did hybrid meetings, the expectation is that if somebody wanted to speak to us, they would have to identify themselves before they spoke, so that.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue, though.
No, but it may not be an issue, but it's something to put out there that the selectmen may not have thought about. You know,
You mean that somebody would hide behind something?
No. It just is, if somebody's participating in a hybrid meeting and they want to make a comment about a public hearing or ask a question, we ask them to state what their name is, the same way we do here, so that, you know, so that we're not putting into the meeting minute, an anonymous remote participant made this comment or asked this question. You know, we want.
Wouldn't they say who they were?
Well, I mean, but they could also say they're Jim Gazzo. You know?
All right, so you're saying they don't show up in person. Okay.
Yeah, it's just,
one's enough, Jim.
There's an extra layer of complexity when the person's not in the room.
Okay.
So, okay.
So we're generally not in favor.
Unless
I
we're
can
ordered
draft-
to,
I
that's
can-
not our choice.
I can draft a memo, and
It's a
have-
consensus.
Yeah, I'll draft a memo. I'll have Margaret review it before I send it off, just to make sure that the commission's intent is achieved.
Okay.
For our work and what we do, it's not as
Prefer
feasible.
to be here. Minutes.
Minutes. Okay. Any comments or questions on, any feedback on the May 26th minutes? May 22nd minutes, I'm sorry.
And it is wonderful, by the way, that we have the minute. I mean, I sit in an office, and I am the collector of the minutes of everything.
It's hard to share cookies, too.
What?
It's hard to share cookies, right? Hybrid.
Yeah.
Who does our minutes? Sierra?
I'll see if she wants to.
Oh, I tell you, don't have to.
I know who you are.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
She who shall not be named.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. I wasn't looking to put anybody on the spot.
Moving on.
I am very pleased.
Identified herself.
Yeah.
She's really good. I forget
Yeah, no,
that.
and Sierra does a great job of Sierra does a really good job of clarifying the commission's technical points.
Yep.
That it makes
well done.
It makes my job much easier in reviewing them before they
Sure.
get to you. So,
Sure.
you know, lots of hands in the pot, but
These are minutes that will be looked back on.
Any changes?
Yeah, I had two. So in the enforcement order for 254 Concord Road.
What page is that, do we know?
On page 3 is where it talked about, for example, where it referenced the jurisdictional buffer in the end of the second sentence, and the second to last sentence when it talked about installation of the split rail fence. I want to explicitly, assuming it's in the enforcement order this way, explicitly state Lot 2A and 3A, because the mowing was also occurring in the wetland on a lot that didn't come before us because it didn't have any work proposed in the buffer zone, but we said, you're mowing the wetland, you need to put the fence on both sides, and I just want to make sure that the minutes reflected that we wanted that. And then with Stony Brook Conservation Area, did somebody actually open the boathouse or remove a canoe?
I think it was open.
Okay.
We got a report, I think it was from, we got a report that the boathouse was open, there were.
Okay.
And I followed up with the,
So it was left open, not broken into?
I don't know which was which. I think it was, so.
Yeah.
But no, I think, I remember discussing that.
Okay, I just, you know, there was some, because that was the other thing that I noticed was that boat down at the beach, and it's kind of like, you know, did somebody just bring it and leave it for the general use, or did that? Well, that's because people kept coming in, and other people would get in and go out in the pond. So, but anyway, okay. So can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 22nd, 2024 as amended?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business before we adjourn?
Should be hearing about 2 site visits, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of the week.
Green Needles Road and Tadmouth Meadows.
Yes, one, Tuesday, one maybe Thursday.
Closed on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, yes.
What?
The town's closed on Wednesday.
Yeah, town hall's closed on
Right.
Wednesday.
Okay.
And I'm on vacation.
18th day.
I'm on vacation for the next 2 weeks, so I miss a meeting besides. Just so you know.
Yeah, so those site visits, those locations are far enough apart, we want to do 2 separate? Okay.
Friday, and I come home on a Friday.
So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.